folks. This live stream is brought to you by my sponsor AAA FX. Now, they're a fully regulated broker in Europe and South Africa, offering Forex indices, commodities, crypto, and over 100 stocks. Now, at AAA FX, you pay no commission on any Forex pair using their ECN Plus account and low commissions on cryptos and stocks. Plus, you can deposit with cash or crypto, get a free VPS with deposits over 5K, and easily integrate the well-known copy trade service Zulu Trade. While you're waiting for the stream to start, go and check them out by clicking the link in the description, comments, or visit AAAFX.com.
Hello everyone, hope you're doing good. Glad to be back. Meanwhile, let me share my screen. Thank you so much, Cam, for the opportunity again. It's truly an honor to be here. For those who don't know me, I'm Rich, as also known as the Signalist. You can find me on TradingView. This is my profile. And like I've been here previously, you can watch episode number 111. So 111, which is a good number. So you can scroll back and Trading Nut channel and you can watch it. You can also watch my analysis, and I've made a couple of videos. For those who don't know me, that I go and do live sessions every single month at the beginning of the month on the first Tuesday, if you want, of every month. We'll start with the Forex pairs, as you can see from my watch list. Let me see if everything's working properly. Yeah, fantastic. Okay, start with the Forex pairs, and then we'll go over indices and the crypto markets. So feel free to request any assets. I would be happy to add it to my list. But of course, feel free to request it by order, because first we'll go over Forex, indices, and then crypto. So now, starting with Forex, you can request any Forex instrument. As you can see, I've got a big list, so I try to make it as quick, but at the same time as detailed as possible. At any time during the session, feel free to share your questions in the comment section. I will keep an eye on it, after going over a couple of pairs. So let's do it. And for those who know me, as usual, cheers. We saw the XY to feel the overall market. Kyle, GP, JPY, I guess I have it on my list. No, I don't have it. I have GP, USD, and GP, AUD. It's fine or not? If it's not fine for you, you want JPY in a specific manner, I don't mind to do it. Could you perhaps do USD, JPY? Yes, I have it on my list. As you can see on the right, it's like the fifth one. So trend line touch 4-hour chart for drop. Let me know what you think. Okay, look, of course, I'll check it out when we go over it. Tukur, I'm happy to be here as well. Hope you're doing good. So please, Kyle, let me know if GP USD and GP AUD would do the job, because we've got two GP pairs, and most probably you get a very similar price action. If not, I remove one of them and I'll do GP JPY. Okay. Let me go over the XY, and then I'll be checking the comments again. Let me remove this one to focus on the chart. So from monthly time frame, for those who know, we have been expecting a rejection from this area. You can at any time go to my trading view and search for any currency. For example, for the XY, I posted I guess yesterday, I posted this one that we are currently around the demand zone. Anyway, we'll go over it live now. Well, around a demand zone, and previously I've posted this one that. Okay, not this one. Let me search for it. Okay, we're looking for a sell here, and yeah, this is it. Okay, that's why we're here around an overbought zone. That's why we were speculating that the bears would take over. Anyway, let's update the charts live. So after rejecting the upper trend line, which is this one, multiple rejections from this area, we are trading lower now. We are currently approaching a very strong support. In fact, the support is a bigger one than it's looking here, because we've got also this demand zone, which you saw from my last analysis, which is here. And also, like, you can make this one a little bit lower to cover this previous wick, the rejections and so on. But anyway, to keep it clean, let's keep it like this. But we know, okay, this is why we saw with the XY to feel the market. We know that the XY is approaching a strong rejection, support and demand. So we're expecting a bullish movement. However, we also know that we might trade in the same direction for a little while, fill this demand entirely before we trade higher. Okay, so these are the two possible scenarios, and it's very important to start with the XY because now you know that for the entire market, we can trade in the same direction for a little while before we reverse, or we might find rejection around this support now and reverse from here. But I'm looking for a reversal in the entire market. Unless, of course, we break it downward, we fill it, it's no longer valid, it's no longer pushing the price upward. In this case, further bearish move would be expected till around this area, the lower trend line, the demand zone right here, and so on. But for now, let's take it step by step. Okay, let me... Kyle, exactly, yes. I guess, like, from your family name, you are Lebanese too, right? Cheers. GPJY, I would like to see if you could analyze it, please. Of course, let's add GPJY. I remove GPUSD if it's okay with the members. Let me add GBPJPY. Come on. Yeah, that's it. And I remove GBPUSD because we already have like so many USD pairs, so it's enough for you to feel the USD pairs. So let's move forward. Okay, fantastic, Kyle. Gold analysis. Okay, Shuk. I'm Indian. You're welcome. Nice to meet you. Euro USD, of course, the USD is just right after the XY because like it's usually the exact opposite. That's why I always start with the XY and then Euro USD. Let's continue. Okay, so around the very strong support, I already covered it. If you zoom in a little bit for weekly time frame, we can see that this is the swing that I'm looking for, a small market structure. That's why I'm starting to speculate a reversal from here, knowing that again and again that we might drop inside this demand zone, and also it would be lining up with this lower trend line. So this is a massive zone indeed in case we drop lower. For us to drop lower, I need to see a break below the 104. If you break the 104 downward, expect further bearish movement till around the 102, 101.5, this area here, which is truly a massive zone that we were expecting a bullish movement from, as I showed you from weekly time frame. If you go to H4 time frame, we are currently trading inside this. Let me fix these ones. Okay, fantastic. This one okay, good. Okay, so we are currently trading inside this channel, falling channel. That's why you can notice that we are inside a channel for the entire market, or in specific manner for USD pairs. For example, Euro USD, if you check it out real quick, we are currently inside a rising channel around the resistance. Okay, on the XY around the support, inside a falling channel. For the boost to take over here, there are many steps that price needs to make. We need to trade higher, reject it, and then break it upward. In this case, we'll be expecting a bullish movement because for now, that's our last major high. So I need a new major high to be formed and then a break above it to have a full reversal to reject this like this demand zone. For now, the bears are clearly still pushing. We are breaking a high, starting a correction, and then another big impulse movement pushing price lower. Breaking a high, starting a correction, another impulse pushing price lower. So we might see the same thing if you break this high, start a correction before another big bearish movement pushes price lower. That's why we're in a bearish trend, so we need the bulls to prove to us that they are strong enough to make a reversal. Okay, but anyway, from a short-term perspective, we can of course like zoom into lower time frames and speculate what will happen inside this channel, bullish, bearish, and so on, until eventually it's broken upward or downward. By downward I mean below the 104. In this case, further bearish movement would be expected. Now, from a short-term perspective, for the bulls to take over, we already broke above this high, but I still need a break above this high and lows here. If we break it higher, we'll be expecting further bullish movement till around the upper bound of this channel, lining up with this supply zone and so on. Okay, so this is where we are in the market. Let's move forward to the Forex Euro, for example, Euro USD and the USD pairs. For Euro USD, just like the XY, or exactly the opposite. On the XY, we were around the demand zone. For Euro USD, we are around the supply zone. Aggressive movement downward. From here, we are currently rejecting it on daily time frame. We are currently inside this big falling broadening wedge. We had our impulse movements, corrections, and so on. We are currently here at the end of the correction movement, but we know that we might be having a long-term shift in momentum, but I'm speculating from here a short-term correction before the big bullish movement starts. So very similar to the XY, I'm speculating a bullish movement from here before the bears take over and start the big long-term bearish movement. Let's get back to our Euro USD. So this is basically it. I would like to see a new high to be formed and then a break above it to finally say that, yeah, now the bulls are taking over and we'll be expecting big impulse movements pushing higher and a correction. Anyway, starting from here, the bulls are clearly in control. It's the first time that we see a break above a major high, as you can see, from a long period of time. So this most probably would be an impulse. Now speculating a correction, and then we'll be looking for buy setups around this area. This area is a very strong one because it's lining up with the one round number. It's lining up with this demand zone. As you can see, aggressive movement upward. It's still fresh and so on, and also the previous major highs from daily time frame. So if we trade lower, this would be a massive zone to look for setups. The exact opposite as usual for the XY. If we trade higher, this would be a massive zone to look for a reversal, 110 round number, supply zone, previous trend line, previous lows, and so on. Okay, so long story short, for USD, as long as I'm here, I'm below this zone, I'm looking for sell setups unless it's broken upward. In this case, further bullish move would be expected till around the next resistance zone, which would be around 1.08, 1.09. For now, let's take it step by step. As I always say, now we are looking for sell setups. The exact opposite of the XY, we are trading inside the rising channel, looking for sell setups, for the bears to take over and drag the price downward as I wanted, as I showed you from daily and weekly. We need to see a couple more steps like this to form a new swing low and a break below it. In this case, we'll be expecting a movement till this area because now the last low is here. So I would like to see a new low to form around this lower bound before we break it downward. Meanwhile, from a short-term perspective, if you zoom into lower time frames, we can see that we broke below this low right here. So we are speculating a bearish movement, but I still would like to see a break below this area here. If we break it downward, expect further bearish movement. Meanwhile, we can still make one more correction before we trade lower. So basically, I'm looking for sell setups as long as we are below this area. Next, let's go for GBP JPY as per the request of Kyle. Okay, USD, we've done it. You're more than welcome, Tukur. Okay, Kyle, we are around the resistance zone. I also posted one on GBP JPY, I guess like last week or like 2 weeks ago. Yeah, this is it. Okay, so I've been previously looking for a sell here, so impulse correction. I was waiting for a break below this low here, didn't happen. We formed this low, as you can see, but we didn't break it downward. We kept on moving higher, and then I've posted this one that we are currently around the resistance zone, as you can see from daily. This is like on the left chart. On the right chart, we were forming a head and shoulders pattern, a trend line, and so on around the resistance. So I was waiting for a break below this low right here, so we broke it down, we traded it lower, and we are currently back around this area. We're right around this area, which you can see now here. That's it. So previously I was looking for a sell right here, and now we are retesting this zone. So I'm still looking for a sell on GPY. I'll be looking for setups as long as we are below this like this blue zone. If we break it upward, and by break I mean from daily time frame, if we have a daily candle close above this area, above 169, in this case we'll be expecting further bullish movement till our next resistance around 175. You can see it better, I guess, from monthly time frame. Yeah, this is it. The previous low right here, also a supply zone from weekly time frame. But first, I would like to see sorry. I would like to see a break above the zone. Meanwhile, we are trading inside this range. That's why I'm still trading this range, looking for buy stops around the lower bound, sell stops around the upper bound, until eventually this range is broken upward or downward. Okay, for the break downward, of course, we'd like to see a break below this entire zone, below these lows right here. Meanwhile, even if you dive inside it, just like here, I'll still be looking for buy setups. Okay, and around this area we'll be looking for a sell, knowing that price can go a little bit higher before trading lower. Okay, so if you want, long story short, looking for setups inside this area, sell, buy until it's broken upward, until it's broken downward. If you zoom into H4 time frame, can't really say much. As mentioned previously, we are just retesting this previous low and high, minor support and resistance. If you zoom into lower time frames to and 30, we lately broke below this minor low. So if we break below this major low now, we'll be expecting further bearish movement on GPJPY. Okay, so for now we might be seeing a correction, or we might be seeing a one more higher low before the bearish takeover. So I'd like to see extra confirmation for this one by rejecting this low, or even like this, for example, and then break below these lows, like around 166.3325. Okay, around this area. That's it for JPY. On AUDSD, a very clean one. Let me draw this zone for later reference. That's it. On weekly time frame, we are currently around a very strong resistance zone. We can clearly see it. Previously a support here, now a resistance. Also, just like the XY, a massive supply zone right here, right? So it's a drop, a base, and then a drop again. So that's a very strong supply zone. That's why we are looking for setups, and in fact it's a trend following supply zone, which makes it even stronger. For example, just like this one, a trend following supply, price went up, filled it again before we trade lower. A supply zone right here, filled it again, of course, with a big wick. In this case, it's like not the penis one, and then we trade it lower. Anyway, for now, we are looking for a sell, for a reversal, unless we break this high upward, we break this resistance zone upward, a movement higher till this next resistance would be expected. And of course, if this happens on the retest of it, I'll be looking for a trend following buy in this particular case. But we can clearly see that we are also seeing a potential shift in momentum, just like EURUSD. But again and again, just like we saw on the XY, we are currently around a rejection, just like EURUSD, around the resistance and the supply. If it's broken upward, we'll be expecting further bullish movement. Or meanwhile, we are expecting a reversal. Okay, on AUDUSD, we are currently trading inside this channel. If we break it downward, we'll be expecting a rejection of this resistance and further bearish movement. Previously, we broke below this low. Meanwhile, from a short-term perspective, we are trading this range upward and downward, right? And this area here reminds me of this area. Okay, so for example, if you break it higher, we'll be expecting an impulse movement to push price higher. If you zoom into lower time frames to M30, for example, this is why I drew this zone in the first place, if you remember. If you break it higher, we'll be expecting a short-term bullish movement. However, I personally wouldn't like to look for a buy on AUD/USD inside the zone, because we are currently around a supply zone, as you saw right here. So I prefer only to look for sell setups. So what I'll be doing on AUD/USD is I'll be waiting for it to go a little bit higher till this area, because I don't want to look for buy setups around the lower bound of the channel, right? So I'll be looking for a sell around this area here, or if you break the channel downward on the retest of it, I'll be looking for a sell. So it would be an impulse, correction, and impulse, because currently we are bullish, right? So we should look for a buy, but I would not prefer to look for a buy inside the resistance. Okay, that's why I'm waiting for these two possible scenarios: this, and then look for a sell here, or this, then look for a sell right here. That is for AUD/USD. If you go to USD/JPY, I guess someone requested it. Let me check. Someone requested USD/JPY. No, I did not. Yeah. Look. Okay. So what Luke said, looking at third trend line to touch H4. Yeah, that's it, I guess. For drop, let me know what you think. Exactly. Look, I'm speculating the same, especially that this trend line that you also see here, that it happens that I also have it, is lining up with the previous lows, as you can see from the chart. Okay, I'll go over it in a bit, but just like checking the comments now. Yeah, Kyle, you're more than welcome, man. CAD JPY and USD/GBP. Okay, so like so you already requested one, so I prefer that more people request new ones. But if you want to pick one of these two, which one do you prefer? Okay, because like you already requested one and now you're requesting two, so I prefer to like give like the other people the opportunity. Okay, you're more than welcome, Luke. I'm happy to hear that. So USD/JPY, very similar to sorry, the XY. Let me take a sip as a break. Cheers. So if you notice, very similar to the XY. If you see it like here, for example. Look at this. If you go to the XY, that's the channel, right? And you are currently testing a demand zone. If you go here, USD/JPY, that's it. Rejecting the upper trend line, and now around the demand zone. I also posted, I guess, a couple of updates on USD/JPY on TradingView. Where is it? I guess, yeah, this is it. Overbought zone as well. I was looking for buy stops here, but price kept on moving lower, broke it down, and we are currently here around this demand zone. Okay, so this is my TradingView profile. As you see, the signal is this is the website. I'll tell you something in a bit. And this is my free YouTube channel where I post content and analysis. And this is my Telegram channel where I forward everything from YouTube and TradingView there, in case you want to get notified when I post new content. Okay, for for this website and for trading not only, we have a coupon code for you guys, for those who would like to join my family. This is what I call it. You can use the coupon trading not for like this, like all capital, no spaces, for $100 off on HTL lifetime package. Okay, let's keep it aside for now. And for USD/JPY, and of course, guys, like this video if you believe that the content is good and for it to reach more traders. So USD/JPY, we are currently inside this big channel. We had our impulse, a correction, and we are currently here in the second impulse movement. We rejected the upper zone. We can't really judge because it's too early that we'll have a deep correction like this. But like I believe over the long run we'll be seeing this correction, especially when the XY trades lower and breaks below a support zone. For now, let's take it step by step. We are currently around the demand zone right here. We are currently rejecting it. That's why we are speculating a bullish movement. So I'm speculating a bullish movement like this as a correction and then another leg down. From weekly time frame, this is basically it. We have a swing low, I guess, here from daily. Yeah, that's it. So I'm still expecting this movement and then this movement. But for now, let's take it step by step, as I always say, around this demand zone, and price can still dive a little bit inside it before we trade higher, especially like we've got these high and low here. If you go to daily time frame, can't really say much except that we are obviously bearish. If you go to H4 time frame, like this is the one that Luke mentioned, that we currently are around this low right here. Okay, and if you go a little bit higher, it would be the intersection of these lows and the strand line from H4. So we are bearish, okay, just like USD we are bullish, just like AUD we are bullish, the XY we are bearish until we break above the major high or major low, right? So this is the major high for now. Unless we form a new major high, it would become this, and if you break it upward, we'll be expecting a bullish movement. For now, until this happens, and even though we're around a demand zone or a rejection zone, we can still trade inside it, or we can still even break it downward. Okay, so we are bearish until we are bearish until we aren't, if you want. Okay. So on USD we are currently around this area. We might be going a little bit higher like this before we trade lower. That's why we are looking for the bears to prove to us that they are strong enough to take over and drag it back inside the zone. If you go to H1 time frame, we can see that we lately broke above this major high, of course, from H1. We are currently trading higher. We might be having a correction movement before we push price higher again, and then we'll be having this movement and then like this, and trade lower to form a new major high and then break it upward, and this would be it. Okay, so like we still have like too many steps before we finally say that now the bulls are taking over. For now, we are clearly bearish, but of course the bulls are taking over from a shorter perspective inside this big channel. So of course, as we dive lower, I'll be looking for buy setups around the lower zone. If you go to M30 line frame, you can see a low right here. So if we break it downward, very similar to AUD breaking above the high, very similar to EUR breaking below the low. Okay, this is basically the same. If you break below this low and this zone, we'll be expecting a correction movement lower till around this area where we'll be looking for buy setups. We of course will be looking because we might still be making lower lows and lower highs, so I'll be waiting for a high to be broken upward before I consider jumping in for a buy. Meanwhile, until we see this break, we can still go higher and higher like this before we break below a low. In this case, we'll be trading lower because, as I mentioned, from H4 we can still go a little bit higher to dive till around this upper trend line, lining up with the zone before we trade lower. Let me check the comments. Okay. Hello, mate. Hope you're doing good. Glad that you are enjoying it. Okay, Kyle, very good question. Like, sorry, I can't recommend a specific course, but like you can find a lot of free stuff on YouTube. Like if you want books, like I recommend everything for like Mark. Let me write it there. Oops, Mark. Okay. For Mark Douglas. Look, understand my man, thank you. Okay, so yeah, for USD exactly. Look, okay, Tukur, whenever you are ready, let me know which one do you prefer, this one or this one, right? Because I can't do them. I can't do both. Okay. Hello, Andre. Hope you're doing good. Cheers, mate. Kyle, you're more than welcome, mate. So let's move forward to Euro. Oh no, USD we already done it. Okay, AUD done. Let's go for gold, and like I'll go over these ones very quickly because we still have a lot to cover, like indices, crypto, and so on, right? So let's get it faster to cover as many as possible, as much as possible. On daily time frame, we are currently around this rejection, also lining up with around number 1800. So for the bulls to remain in control here, I need to see a break above it. In this case, further bullish movement will be expected till our 1850, which you can clearly see from weekly time frame. It's a very strong area. Resistance here as well. But we are currently around this high, low, and so on. So we need to see a break above it to expect a continuation till there. Meanwhile, we are overall bullish. We broke a major high. So as long as we are above this low, we are bullish. If we break it down, we will be expecting a bearish movement till at least this area. Meanwhile, we are stuck here inside this range because the bears would take over here, the bulls would take over here, right? Meanwhile, we are here inside the zone. We'll be looking for a sell. We'll be looking for a buy. Okay, around this lower band and like around the upper band and the lower band. That's why it's very important to start from the higher time frames to know where you are in the market and then to know what you are looking for. If you go to H1 time frame, as mentioned, around this area here, I'd be looking for buy stops, knowing that we can still go a little bit lower before we trade higher, exactly just like AUDUSD, USD, JPY, DXY, right? So this is how the chart will make more sense. That and if you remember, I mentioned at the start that on the XY you have two possible scenarios. I'm speculating a bullish movement, right? But we might go a little bit lower before we trade higher. Okay, so this is it, and this is how you feel the market. If you go to M30 time frame, very similar zone, just like AUD, USD, and so on. So this is it. If the bulls break, or if you break above this one, the bulls will take over and we'll be expecting further bullish movement till this supply zone, also lining up with this resistance. Around this area, I'll be looking for a sell. Okay, and if we dive inside the zone right like this, I'll be looking for a buy around this area. So these are the two areas that I'm looking for. Meanwhile, we are bearish and we can still trade lower and lower, make lower lows consolidation before we break it upward. That's it for gold. For GBP AUD, we are currently around a massive zone. Support and resistance previously, very strong one and clean. Currently around this area. That's why we are looking for a sell on GBP AUD, unless of course we break it upward. In this case, this entire resistance would no longer be valid. Instead, it would become a support, and we'll be looking for a buy on the retest. For now, let's take it step by step around the resistance zone. So we are looking for sell setups. If you zoom into H4, we are currently trading inside this rising channel, currently around the upper bound right here, lining up with this high. If you break below this area, I'll show you how and what I'm looking for on H1. We'll be expecting a bearish movement till around the lower bound and so on. But meanwhile, of course, we are bullish. This is an impulse movement, so you don't want to be buying a bullish market, right? So we are waiting for the bears to take over first before we jump in for a correction movement downward, because we are around a resistance zone from the daily time frame. From H1, we are also bullish, trading inside this channel. So at least I would like to see a break below this area. In this case, on the retest, I'll be looking for a sell. Or if you now trade higher from here, we'll be having a major low right here. In this case, I'll be drawing this zone here, and this is what I'm looking for. It will be like this as our trigger. That's like I post on TradingView. Trigger. This would be it. Okay, so these are the possible scenarios, or what I'm waiting for GBP AUD, like to take my attention and like for the rules to be met as per my trading plan. Okay, for now, I'm just waiting for one of these two possible scenarios to happen, like this, to be a major low and then someone's break downward, or break, and then I'll be looking for any reversal setup here on the retest and so on. Meanwhile, we are bullish and we can go higher and higher before the bears take over, or higher and higher, break this resistance upward and even trade higher. So like we don't predict what might happen. We just wait for the market to make the first move, and then we react accordingly. Okay. Okay, how many do we still have? Okay, so we still have 3 forex pairs. I'll go over them. Okay, Euro GBP, I'll add it. Okay, so like this would be the last like 3 or 4 before we dive into indices and crypto. Euro GBP. Okay, and let's drag it upward faster. Okay. Okay, so right now we have 3 euro pairs. It's fine. Okay, AUD CAD around the resistance zone. As you clearly see, a massive resistance, multiple rejections from this area lining up with this upper trend line, acting as a non-horizontal resistance. This swing here reminds me very much of this swing. Okay, so a swing breaking above the previous high, but we are bearish. This is just a correction before the next bearish impulse movement push price lower, unless it would be an overextended correction like this, ending up to be an impulse movement, impulse breaking above the previous high in an aggressive manner. In this case, this would happen, and we'll be expecting a shift in momentum from bearish to bullish. In this case, on the retest of it, we'll be looking for a buy, and then we'll be looking for a sell right here. We'll be able to draw a channel and so on. Anyway, let's take it step by step. Are currently around the resistance upper trend line, so we are only looking for sell setups. If you zoom in lower, this is the view from daily. It's like you can see it in a better manner, unless we have an aggressive break like this. In this case, this whole scenario, sell setup would no longer be valid. Instead, we'll be looking for this buy. Meanwhile, until we have this, we are around the resistance looking for sell setups. If you go to H4 time frame, we are currently bullish, making higher lows, higher highs. So this is our last major low. Okay, if you go to H1, this is it. I'm waiting for a break below the zone and below the trend line for the bears to take over. In this case, a sell could have been entered. The stop loss will be above the previous swing high, and we target at least a 1 to 2 risk to reward ratio to have an edge over the market from a risk management risk management perspective. Let me take a sip as a break. Cheers. Okay. So that's it for AUD CAD. This is what I'm waiting for. Meanwhile, we can go a little bit higher, form a new low, for example, or even break the resistance upward. Let's move forward to Euro GBP as per the request of Tukur, right? Euro GBP around the support zone, as we clearly see. That's it. Resistance previously multiple times, now support multiple times. Okay, looking for buy setups. However, we do see this big wedge pattern, which I already drew from daily time frame. So we are looking for buy stops here. We might be able to trade higher. We are currently trading inside, if you want, a range. So looking for a sell, looking for a buy, until eventually it's broken upward or downward. If you break it upward, we'll be expecting further bullish movements inside this big wedge pattern. If we break it downward, we'll be expecting one more bearish movement till the lower bound of this rising broadening wedge. So around this area, if we go here, it would be a massive zone, of course, to look for a buy, especially that we are also lining up with this demand zone right here. Okay, so demand support trend line, this would be a massive zone indeed. Meanwhile, let's take it step by step. We are currently around this support. We haven't really break it yet. If we break it downward from daily time frame, we'll be expecting further bearish movement. For now, we are here just like previously. We broke above the high, we traded higher, but it was just a correction, and price pushed price lower again, right? So we are clearly bearish, especially starting from here after we broke below this low, right? This major low right here. So I don't want to be buying here, and then it will end up being a correction, and then we push price lower again. Okay, so for the bulls to take over on Euro GBP, I would like to see a break above this high, this major high, to have a shift in momentum from bearish to bullish. In this case, I'll be looking for this buy. Okay, this is what I'm waiting for. I might be looking for buy stops on Euro GBP, but not here. I would like to catch the correction, if you want, as the start of it, but not like in the middle of nowhere, especially that we are bearish. Especially we can zoom into H1 and we can see it even better. So I'm not interested in looking for a buy on this area. Even if you break this one higher, I prefer not to not to look for it. Instead, here we have a trend line that we are forming a very similar one right now. That's it. So if you go lower and break this trend line in the downward and this zone, we'll be expecting a trend continuation till around this lower massive support zone, which I showed you previously, and this is where I'd be looking definitely for buy setups. Okay, that's it for Euro GBP. For now, I'm staying away from Euro GBP because the zone here is tricky. I would like to see a break upward above this high and then look for a buy on the retest, or I would like to see a break downward below this low and then look for a sell on the retest, and then I'd be looking for a buy here, and then I'd be looking for a sell here, and so on. Next, I guess it's the last one. No, we still have EuroCAD. Okay, I'll do them quickly. Felice, could you make a video showing how you do support and resistance levels? Yes, sure. If you want, you can keep an eye on. Let me go back to the. Here we go. You can keep an eye on my YouTube channel. You can find it here. Okay, it's as you can see, you can search on YouTube the signalist. You'll be able to find it. Hopefully, I'll be posting one soon. If not, I already have one. I already have a video on how to do support and resistance. I guess you can find it here in the learning materials section. Your ultimate trend line guide, how to draw supply and demand zones, how to use TradingView. I guess it's here. Yeah, this is it. Okay, support and resistance complete guide. Okay. So Euro CHF, we are currently around a massive zone, one round number. Price can still go a little bit higher before we trade lower, because we can still dive till around the one before we reject it. Unless, of course, we break it higher in an aggressive manner. In this case, we'll be expecting a continuation. Okay, till around the upper bound, the one would become a support zone, and so on. We'll be expecting a movement till this next resistance or supply zone. For now, we are just in a correction phase. This one reminds me of this one. On this one, correction started, bears took over, correction started. Yes, the bears might be taking over. That's why we would like the buyers to prove to us that they are strong enough to break above a massive resistance zone. So here we go. I'll share a trick. So when we have a correction and it doesn't break above a rejection or a resistance, it's just a correction. But if a correction breaks above a resistance, in this case, it will no longer become a correction. Okay, correction didn't break above a rejection, so instead it's just a correction. The impulse started. Correction didn't break above a rejection, it's just a correction. Impulse started. Correction didn't break above a rejection, it's just a correction. The impulse might start. Unless we break above it, in this case, it would become an impulse, and then we'll be looking for a sell. Okay. For now, it's just a correction, okay? And we are looking for set setups. If you zoom in lower, we can find that we can draw this one. I guess I have it on H4. Yeah, I have this one, but you can also go for this one like this. Let me make it an orangey quick, just like to feel the market of where we currently are. That's it. Okay, so this zone right here is a massive zone indeed, around this one and the intersection of the upper zones. So we are bullish, of course, now. Okay, from a shorter perspective from H4, of course, we broke below this one, so we might be having a continuation, but I'll show you how you will know what might happen next. But for now, from this chart alone, because we are around the resistance from daily, and the one is a very strong resistance, if you go higher, This would be a massive zone to look for a sell because it's the intersection of multiple rejection zones. One round number upper trend line in red and an orange. For now, if the bears take over, for the bears to take over, we need to see a break below everything that might hold back. So, for example, like this, unless, or like the best case scenario to me is if we go higher, we'll be looking for a short-term sell here, and then if we form a new swing low and then break it downward, in this case the bears would take over, and then the bears would entirely take over to start a bigger correction movement downward. For now, let's just wait and see what happens. The last Forex pair for now is our EuroCAD. On weekly time frame, we are currently around the support zone around 1.435 and so on. If you zoom a little bit lower, we can see a gap right here, and price is currently filling this gap, also acting as a supply zone. So I'm looking for sell setups on EuroCAD, even though yes, we are overall bullish and so on, but since it's a very strong area, I'm looking for a sell, which makes sense because the XY is around a support zone. It might go a little bit lower, okay, on the XY before reversing. EuroCAD might go a little bit higher before reversing, okay? So which was inside this zone to fill the gap entirely, to dive inside the supply and so on. Anyway, while looking for sell setups, if we go lower here, this is a demand zone, and this is also a demand zone where we'll be looking for buy setups, okay? And like to me, this is a stronger demand zone than this one, because let me show you why. Because here we've got this trend line here. It's an entire zone, it's an entire area, that's it. So this area, that's why you see this arrow here lining up with this demand zone. Okay, so this is a massive zone indeed around this area, which would make total sense because if the XY trades higher from here, it will reject around the 110, right? Which would be around the 1.382 for EuroCAD in case we drop lower, in case the XY trades higher till the 110. Okay. Anyway, let's take it step by step. We are currently around the resistance zone, looking for sell setups. If you go to H4 time frame, we are currently bullish, of course, trading inside this channel. If you go to H1, we are currently trading inside a smaller channel, inside a bigger channel. So when this one is broken downward, it would be the start of a correction movement. And like, yes, we know that we are trading a correction now, okay, because we are clearly bullish. Of course, when we trade lower here, we'll be looking for a buy unless we break it downward. This would be a stronger demand zone, as I showed you from daily and weekly. If you go lower, that's our last major low right here. So for now, on CAD, sorry, I'm waiting for this break. Okay, a break below a low, and this trend line showing us the impulse movement upward. It would signal the start of the correction movement. Of course, when this happens, the stop loss will be above the previous swing high. We target a 1 to 2 restore ratio, which would be around this support zone right here. Meanwhile, because we are bullish inside this impulse movement, speculating a correction, meanwhile we can trade higher, form a new swing low, and then we'll be selling on spec downward. So I'm not only interested in selling EuroCAD when the correction starts, when the bears prove to us they are strong enough to start and push lower, which would be a break below the trend line in orange and below the last major low, of course, on M30, which is here for now. Okay. Okay, so like we already have done a lot on JPY pairs and on Euro pairs. So I went over like 4 Euro pairs. So I'm very sorry, PHS. I can't go over Euro JPY now because like we don't really have much time, and I still need to go for USD. For indices and for the crypto market. Okay, so I'm very sorry. I can't do any more. I can't do any more for Forex pairs. Harmeet, very nice explanation. Thank you. Glad you are liking my style. Hello, Ahmed. Hope you're doing good. Can you explain about gold? Ahmed, I previously went over gold. So, like, if you want, when you are done with this, like with the live session, you can go back and you can watch the recording. I prefer like not to repeat it again to save time to go over the indices. Okay. Hello Nasir, hope you're doing good. Hello Ali, hope you're doing good. Okay, let's take a sip and let's move forward to the indices. Okay, Forex pairs done, X. Now let's go over the indices, okay? Just like the XY to feel the overall, like the overall market on US 500 to feel the overall stock and crypto market. Of course, like stocks, like more on USD dominance, which we are going to go over next, right here, is to feel the overall crypto market. So let's take it step by step. On US 500, I've posted also this one. You can if you want, you can at any time go my trading view profile, search for any currency or like any asset, and you can watch my previous my previous analysis. So here we're around the support. If we break it down, we'll be expecting a movement till this area. Meanwhile, we're expecting a bullish movement. We trade it higher, and then I posted this one that we are currently around this area. I'll be looking for setups around this zone right here. Okay, so this is it for US 500, for S&P 500. What we know is that we are in the making of a potential long-term shift in momentum. Okay, and the reason why is because we were previously trading inside this falling broadening wedge, right? A big one. But we noticed that the last leg didn't really test the lower bound of the falling broadening wedge, because as you can see previously, like for the nature of a falling broadening wedge is the bigger the correction or the impulse, the bigger the correction. The bigger the impulse, the bigger the correction. Okay, so we had a low, right? So we are still bearish, right? But we couldn't push as low as before. This is how you can feel like an early signal that we might be having a long-term shift in momentum. Of course, like we still need to see many steps before we finally confirm it. But this is what I'm speculating next. So I'm speculating a bearish movement like this, failing to make a lower low, instead make a higher low, maybe forming like a big inverse head and shoulders pattern, and then this would become a major high, and then we break this major high upward, and then the big long-term bullish movement starts. Okay, so this is what I'm seeing because of this early shift in momentum, making a lower low, but not as strong as before. Okay, this is first. Second, we can clearly notice that US 500 loves head and shoulders. Let me show you what I mean. That's it. Head, left, right. Right? So head, left, and right. Head, left. Okay. I'm speculating a very similar scenario like this, and then break below it. Okay. When we break below it, what will happen? The impulse start, impulse start, impulse start. Now I'm speculating a smaller impulse resulting in a higher low. Okay. Anyway, as I always say, let's take it step by step. But I just like to give you an overall bias or an overall big vision. This was a massive zone because it was lining up with the supply zone with the upper trend line in brown, and also a resistance zone. If you extend this one, that's it. Support here, resistance now, and that's it. Okay. Okay, that's it. For the bulls to take over here and to break this resistance, obviously we need to see this movement. Okay. Meanwhile, if we break below this support, the impulse bearish movement would start. Okay. Wait for we are inside this bullish channel. I was looking also for buy setup previously here, sell setups around this area. Now we traded lower. We are currently around this lower channel. We might be having this movement as I showed you from weekly and daily to form a big head and shoulders and then break it downward, or whether we form this one or not. If we break below this 3.9k, that's why you see my alert right here. Okay, if you break it downward, we'll be speculating a bearish movement. Now I'm speculating this movement like this till around this area where I'll be looking for buy setups. Of course, unless we break it down, then it will be good for the entire market. We'll be speculating further bearish. movement. For now, from a short-term perspective, this is the last major high from lower time frames. That's it. Here we go, and a little bit higher to cover this one. So if we break this one higher, we'll be speculating a short-term bullish movement inside the zone. We will be speculating this area till around this area. Okay, that's it for US 500. Let's go to US 100, which is very very similar. That's why we start with US 500 first. On daily time frame, we are also bearish. For the bulls to take over long term, we need to see what this break, okay, above everything that might hold it back. And for now, we might find a resistance around this 13K, this entire resistance, this supply zone, right? Sorry, this supply zone, this trend line right here, okay, and also another trend line right here, but I only drew this one to make it clean. So this is it. We're supposed to take over long term and to finally say that, yeah, the big corrections ended and now the big impulse movement has started. So this would be just a big correction, which like I don't think so. Okay, we need to see this break. In this case, we'll be expecting further bullish movement. For now, we are here. If we break below this area right here, if we break below this 10K 0.5, expect further bearish movement. It wouldn't be good at all, like for the stock market and for the indices. For now, very similar to US 500, we didn't really test the lower bound, okay, just like previously. Instead, we had a lower low, but not as strong as the previous lows. So I'm still speculating a shift in momentum from here when we break above this high. For now, let's take it step by step. If you zoom into H4, we broke above this high and we are currently here stuck inside a range. If we broke below this low again, we'll be speculating a bearish movement till this lower bound again. Oops, this area where we'll be looking for bust stops. It would be a whole range, right? Like this. Okay, and let me show you one more thing, because like I'm speculating a higher low now, but we're currently in a correction. What is it? Okay, here we go. Come on, what is it? Yeah, that's it. Okay, so we're currently here and we might be having a correction. If we break it downward, I'll be looking for bust stops around this lower bound, and we'll be expecting a bullish movement till this upper area. Let me take a sip as a break. Okay, that's it for US 100. Let me check the comments real quick before I move forward. Ali, yes, of course, of course, it's me. This is me. Yeah, okay. And you can see like I can click on like edit profile, but what I can, yeah, this is it. Okay, so like this is how you can make sure that it's me. Okay, and I can go here and I can click on like that's it. You can see it. Okay, profile settings and so on. Yes, Tukur. Like we still have like a couple of indices and go over crypto instruments as well. Good morning, Hassan. I am from Lebanon. Hope you are as well. I guess yes, from your name and last name. I guess like you are from Lebanon or the region. Ali, thank you so much. Cheers, mate. Filiz, I went over the EuroCAD, so if you want, when we finish the session, you can go back and watch the recording. You can see my input regarding EuroCAD, okay? So let's move forward to US 30, to Dow. Okay, so as you can notice, US 30 is way stronger than US 100 and US 500 because among these three, the only one that pushed above a major high is US 30. Okay, so, which is great. But for the boost to remaining control here, like we need to see a break above this high right here and also this high right here. But most probably we'll be seeing a reversal. I'm speculating a reversal on US 30 because, as you can see, it's ready to too overextended from here till here, like straight line up. Just like this reminds me of this movement. Okay, so most probably we'll be seeing a correction movement because this one resulted in an impulse breaking above multiple highs, so showing us also a sign, as I showed you from US 500 and US 100, why I'm speculating that a long-term shift in momentum. This also confirms that because it's the first time where we break a major high, but of course we might be having a deep correction downward till this area, for example, around this zone, demand, support, and resistance, where we'll be looking for a trend following buy. For now, we are still bullish, right? For the bulls to take over, for the bears to take over, we need to see a break below the previous low, which is currently this one. If you break below it, we'll be expecting a further bearish movement. This is the last major low. If you go to daily, you can see it clearly. That's it. So this is the last major low lining up with this high. That's my make it a little bit lower. If you go to daily again, if you break below this zone in orange, then speculate a long-term bearish movement. Okay, a long-term bearish movement till around this area, as I showed you previously. Okay, and very similar to the previous ones, if you notice, here we go, the impulse started, here we go, the impulse started. If we break this one and below this one in orange, the impulse movement lower would start. Okay, on US oil, like someone requested it last week, that's why I've added it, but I kept it anyway on the list. From monthly, we are around the support zone. You can clearly see it. Of course, we can go a little bit lower before we trade higher till around this low, but this is a clean support and resistance. The next one would be around this this one. Okay, it would be around this area, around 60. If you want, let me make it quick. That's it. Okay, meanwhile, we are clearly bearish, but we are bullish from a long-term perspective. We are currently here around this lower bound. We are inside a correction, a big correction. We broke below a major low. It's the first time we break below a major low, because lately, if you notice, we didn't really have a break below a low. It's the first time where we have it. So which makes like a potential long-term bearish movement also possible. But let's take it step by step anyway. We are currently here. If we break below this low, expect further bearish movements till around this area right here, so like 60-65. Meanwhile, for the boost to reclaim control, we need to see a breakup of this is the last major high. Okay, I don't really have much to add except that we can maybe draw a channel from daily time frame, a flat one, a projection like this, and so on. Okay, but first I want to see a breakup of this lining up with this low, and from a long-term perspective above this high. Okay, that's it for US oil. If you break above this, we'll be expecting further bullish movement there. Now let's get into crypto, right? Finally, cheers. I already went over GBP, JPY. Now, when we finish this session, like after I guess 15 or 20 minutes, you'll be able to you're able to watch the recording. I started with the Forex pairs, so you can scroll until you find GBP, JPY. Okay. George, you're more than welcome. I'm happy that you're enjoying my style. I hope you're doing good. Okay. Last but not least, we've got the crypto market. I have a lot on the table here on the list. Okay, USD dominance, Bitcoin, Ethereum. Of course, we'll go over these three to feel the crypto market, and then I got a bunch of altcoins or tokens. But if you want me to go over a specific one, because we got a lot, please let me know, and I'll be happy to add it and share my input for it. On USDT dominance, you can go to my trading view as usual, check USDT.d and you can go check it out. Oops, I guess, well, what is it? USDT dominance. Yeah, I guess this one. Yeah, the low one. Okay, not this one. This one. Okay, I'm not really sure where is it, but anyway, let's scroll down and find it. Yeah, that's it. But like, why I didn't find it? Crypto cap, yeah. Anyway, we're around the support zone, as you clearly see, a very strong one, and we've got this lower bound of this rising broadening wedge. So if we break it downward, we'll be expecting further bullish movement in the crypto market, and a movement till this lower area would be expected. For now, this is a support zone, and if you click on play, we are still right here now. Okay, so it's a very strong area, and this is, let me zoom in. So if we break below this zone, it would be great, right? Because if USDT dominance trades lower, right? It means that market cap of it is traded going lower. It means that traders are using their USDT to buy like Bitcoin or any other coin with it. But like if USDT dominance or exposure gets higher, trades higher, it means that the traders are selling their coins to and shifted to a stable coin, just like USDT. And you can also check USDC dominance, right? Oops. Which like should have a very similar chart. Yeah, this bullish movement, a very similar chart. And also just like a support resistance, if broken downward, expect further bearish movements for this one. Also like a big trend line. If we break it higher, it wouldn't be good at all. We'll be expecting further bullish movement. Anyway, let's get back to our USDT dominance. Okay, give me a second. I want okay. That's it. If you break it lower, we'll be expecting a movement till this support. Meanwhile, let's zoom into H4 time frame. We are currently trading inside this channel, inside a bigger one. First, if you break above this high right here, we'll be expecting further bullish movement on USD dominance, which would be rejecting a demand zone and the support breaking a major high upward. It would be the crypto market trading lower, but it might be a short-term one, might be trading higher and then trading inside this big descending triangle, rejecting this one and then breaking below the zone and trade lower. Okay, so even if you break it upward, that's why you see my alert here, not to know when we are going to have the break. If you break it, expect a short-term bullish movement till this trend line or even till this high, but then expect a bearish movement rejecting this symmetrical, this descending triangle. And if then we break it down, it will be great, expecting this movement. If we trade lower and break this one upward, it wouldn't be good at all for the crypto market. Anyway, let's take it step by step. Zoom in. That's the last high. We don't want to break above it. Okay, this is it. Anyway, let's move forward. Bitcoin. If USDT dominance breaks below this high, okay, which we saw on H4, we'll be seeing Bitcoin breaking below this low. Okay, also my alert is here and another alert is here down there, okay, around the lower bound of the zone. Let me extend it. Okay, so Bitcoin broke below the 18K. We rejected it as a resistance now. So unfortunately, the situation is not good at all, like for the crypto market, because now for the bulls to take over, like here, and to say that the bull run is going to start, it would take a lot of effort for the bulls, because first we need to see a new high, then trade lower, make a new high here, and then break it upward and above the 20K. Then and only then we can see that now we have a shift in momentum from bearish to bullish. Okay, and this would take time. Moreover, I've posted this one on Bitcoin, which I would like to show you that we might be having a possible what is it? Bitcoin USD. Let me search for which ticker. I guess it's on It's on white bit. Okay, give me a second. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so like this is a very important post that previously you can see that if in case of a bullish impulse movement, if we have a falling correction, expect another bullish impulse. So it would be a continuation correction. But when we have an impulse, a rising correction, expect it to be a reversal one. Okay, so this one is here and this two is right here, and also one, also two. Now for the bearish impulse, okay, if you have a bearish impulse and the rising correction just like this one, number 3, expect it to be a continuation correction before another big bearish impulse push price lower. So we are currently forming just like this one as a 4, okay, but of course for it to confirm it, for the bulls to take over, we need to see a breakup of it, which would be for now a break above the 20k. For now, we might go higher, trade lower like this, form a new major high before we break it upward. But this is a possible scenario if and only if we break above this one. Okay, that's it. And yeah, let's move forward to our analysis. Okay, this is it, the one that I showed you. For now, this is the channel as well. A break above it for the bulls to take over. Meanwhile, we are bearish. We might be going a little bit higher to test the 18k, but then we'll be expecting further bearish movement. We are retesting this area here, so it's definitely a resistance. If you go to H4, we are bullish, yes. So impulse correction, we are currently in this impulse. It might just be a correction before the next impulse movement push higher. So this is why I'm waiting for the bears to confirm that that they had enough and they will start the impulse soon, which would be by breaking below this low. If we break it lower, expect further bearish movement on Bitcoin. Meanwhile, again and again, we are bullish from a medium-term perspective from H4, and this might be just a correction before the next impulse push price higher till the 18k, and then the bears take over from here and push the price further lower. Okay, that's it. If you go to H1, that's the last high from H1. If it's broken upward, we'll be expecting a bullish, a short bullish movement, of course. But for now, we are really expecting this movement. Unless we break it downward, then expect this movement. Ethereum, a very similar scenario. That's our last high right here. And I also have my alert, as you can see here, above these highs. Let me add a zone right here to show you. Here we go. And an alert just right here, exactly just like Bitcoin. Okay, if we break it down, we expect further bearish movement till around the lows again. That's a resistance. We are currently sitting around it unless we break above it, which would be a break above the H4, these ones. In this case, further bullish movement till around the 14k zone would be expected. Okay, so very important times now in the crypto market. If we see a break or a reversal, let's see what happens. Okay, if you want to go over a specific altcoin, let me know. For now, I have on my lists these ones, so I'll go over like 4 or 5 more, and that would be it for this session. CIZ around a support zone now, looking for buy setups here. From a long-term perspective, for the bulls to take over, I want to see a break above this high. To break it higher, we'll be expecting a bullish movement. On daily time frame, we are retesting this support. Unless we break it down, it wouldn't be good. We'll be expecting further bearish movement. For now, around the support, waiting for the bulls to take over, and this would be the last major high. Okay, waiting for this break. Meanwhile, we can trade lower and lower. Atom, a very similar movement around the support zone from weekly time frame. You can see the resistance here, support here, and now it's a support zone looking for buy setups. Meanwhile, if we break below the 8.5, it would be a low and an impulse movement pushing price lower till around the 5. Okay, so long story short, for Atom, I'm waiting for this break for the bulls to take over, or for this break. In this case, we'll be expecting further bearish movement till around the 5. If you go to Matic, also a very similar view. We've got the 1, which is a strong round number. For the bulls to take over and to push it till around the 1.35, I would like to see a break above the 1, or at least above these highs here. Okay, but I'll keep it as 1. Also rejected the support multiple times. This one is standing strong compared to other to remaining altcoins. This is a high broken upward. If we break below this low, it would be Bitcoin breaking below this also previous major low. We'll be expecting further bearish movement till the support again, where, as you can see from my alert, I'll be looking for buy setups around this area. On BNB, very similar movement. A support zone, I have my alert here, and as we approach it, I'll be looking for buy setups, or if it's broken downward, we'll expect further bearish movement to the lower support zone, which would be around this area. Link, a very similar movement. Okay, as we trade lower here, I'll be looking for buy setups. For the bulls to take over from a long-term perspective on Link, I need a break above this 10 and this entire zone. In this case, we'll be expecting a long-term bullish movement to start on Link. Meanwhile, we are just trading inside this big range, as you can see in orange, right? So let me zoom back out. Okay, that's it. So we're currently here in the middle. If we break this one up, we're expecting a movement till here where we're looking for a sell, and around this lower bound right here, entire zone here. If we trade lower, I'll be looking for buy stops. That's why you see my alert this around this area. Okay, that's it for today. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll wait for like 1 minute. If no question pop up, we will end the session. Cheers, everyone. Happy that many of you stayed till the last minute. Okay, so this would be it for today. Best of luck, everyone, and I'll see you hopefully next month at the beginning of the month, which will also be the beginning of the 2023. Best of luck, be safe, stay safe, and I'll see you hopefully soon. Goodbye.